Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Haolonggood release. As you can see, we finally got their Giganotosaurus, and we don't have not one, we don't have not two, we have three paint variants, and yes, I've got all three to take a look at with you guys. As far as the box art goes, you have a really nice image here on the front showing off all three variants. You can see Giganotosaurus, 1/35th scale, and then of course the Haolonggood logo over on the side, up on the top. Kind of a nice little image here, a nice little checklist of a whole bunch of other figures that they do have out in their line, and then pretty much the same thing on the other side, just sort of different as far as like where they position the logos and how large they are and stuff. So let's go ahead, pop these open, and we'll check all three of them out right now. So here are all three different variants of their Giganotosaurus, and man, they are gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Honestly, words don't even do these figures justice. I cannot wait to show them to you guys with a closer look, but you also actually get some pretty cool stuff included with these that we don't normally get from Haolonggood. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this open. So first of all, we have a nice little booklet here, and inside, I don't know if it's going to be the full lineup, but you can see, again, we basically show off the different figures that Haolonggood has out, which there are so many. And it's super cool to be able to see just the sheer amount of dinosaurs and stuff that they have released, because there are so many. And again, they are one unbelievable company, and they produce some of the best, if not the best, dinosaur figures you will find anywhere. And then you also have some cards, and the cards basically show off each of the different variants, I think. So we've got the blue one with a really nice there, kind of like a background there, looking very realistic, like a real image of the dinosaur. You also have a nice shot here of the greenish version, as well as the brownish version. And I think the images are all the same. Each one, yeah, absolutely. So each figure comes with, again, one of these sets, and you can see the cards and stuff are all the same for each one. And there is information on the back of the card as well, and we do have actually a little section here in English. So I really love this. I definitely hope that they continue to do this moving into the future, because it's always fun to have this sort of stuff included. But as far as the figures themselves go, they are insane. So I need to go ahead and get these in for a closer look. I'm going to readjust the camera, move two of the three out of here, and then we'll go ahead and get that closer look. So we'll start my closer look with what I am going to go ahead and say is my favorite of the group. We have the brownish version, and look at how beyond impressive the head sculpt of this is. It is a fantastic head sculpt with some of the nicest paintwork that I've seen from Haolonggood. It's very natural as well. One thing Haolonggood often does is they go pretty flashy with their colors, and I really like the fact that they haven't done that with this one, because it's just a nice change of pace. I think, you know, three variants all the time would be pretty cool, because they could release one that's more, you know, natural and not so flashy, and then go with the flashier versions with the others, and that's kind of what they've done here. And because of that, this is definitely my favorite of the group. So you can see the scale detail is extremely crisp and very impressive. There's also some nice dry brushing that's been applied to help highlight the scales, as well as a nice light wash that kind of crawls in and out of a lot of the scales, kind of like a light gray wash. We can see the nostrils sculpted out. They also have a lighter tone in there. Larger scales as you move closer down to the jaw line, which also look really good. And you can see all sorts of variations of browns as well as blacks and stuff here all throughout the face. We also have a little bit of a darker tone there as you get closer to the eye area. The eye is painted with a yellow, given a black pupil. We can see the ear back here as well. When you move to the lower jaw, you actually have a lighter tone, along with a little bit of flashiness with some like light greenish tones and stuff that show up. Very, very nicely applied again in that area. You do as well have an articulated jaw. The jaw works really nicely. We can see some pinkish tones as well as some reddish tones and stuff. As you move to the inside of the mouth, they've done a very good job of applying a nice red wash to really highlight all of the detail. Once you move to the inside of the mouth, we've got the tongue in there, as well as actually like some purplish tones and everything. Like they really went above and beyond for the realism of their Giganotosaurus. The teeth are also painted very nice and precisely. Same deal for the teeth on the upper side of the inside of the mouth, and you can see the detail. Actually, let's go ahead and turn it over here. The detail looks really impressive once you look into the mouth. You can see the throat and everything back there, how the skin is kind of stretching and the insane detail up there on the inside of the mouth. And again, that red wash has done an excellent job of highlighting all of the detail on the inside of the mouth. And the jaw works pretty nicely. It is a little bit loose, but it stays closed just fine. As you move over here to the other side, you can again see just how nice the paintwork looks. It is absolutely excellent everywhere throughout the course of this figure. As you move up to the top, again, you've got that light wash helping to highlight the detail. You can also see a little bit of a bluish tone that shows up there on that kind of crest-like area of the Giganotosaurus. We can also see again a nice gloss coat for the eye, helping the eye to shine quite realistically. And as we move back here into the neck of the dinosaur, the skin texture again looks really good, very impressive scale detail. You have a very slight turn to the head toward the right. You also have some more nice dry brushing as well as some brownish tones. As you move down, you have kind of like a pinkish tone for the underside and the throat and everything, also moving up into the lower jaw. As we lead back up, you can also see some areas of like some lighter coloration popping up here and there, quite a few skin wrinkles as you move closer down into the body. The arms are held into the body in a really nice natural way. I like the positioning of them. You can also see some scoots down the fingers, a nice grayish tone as you move down into the hands, and again that light wash present. We have the claws sculpted out very nicely and painted with a black, and they do have a nice genuine sharp look to them. As you move back up, again more variation of color, kind of trailing down into the lighter tones of the side of the stomach with different shades of browns, and then kind of like an off-white in that area. You can even see some pinkish tones right there. Lots of skin wrinkles in front of the leg as the dinosaur's taking a step forward. It's really wrinkling the skin right there in front of the leg. As you move back up, again, you've got all of the different variations of browns and that kind of like, I would say it's like a black that's been dry brushed over, really bringing out all of the detail. You can see the spinal column moving there along the back, also a darker tone kind of following along the spinal column. We have the hip bone right there nicely shown off. Very impressive muscle definition as you move down through the leg. You have kind of like a grayish tone here moving along the front of the leg and all sorts of variations of browns, as well as that lighter tone moving along the back of the leg. As you move down, that light wash was applied basically right here where the leg was connected, and it kind of highlights the seam where the leg was connected, which is unfortunate. I think I might try to touch mine up just a little bit to kind of like, you know, hide that fact, because if that wasn't there, I don't think I would have noticed the seam because it is nicely blended overall. But you can see the kneecap right there, and as you move down into the foot, oh, we also have a nice big bulging calf muscle, but as you move down into the foot, that light wash is again playing off of the darker grayish tones of the foot and highlighting all of the detail as well as the scoots down the toes. The claws are again painted with a black and looking nice and genuinely sharp, and the toes are kind of held out away from each other so that it's got a really nice walking pose, and that also helps with the stability of the figure. You can see the dew claws are also sculpted and painted as well. And then we move back up and we lead out into the tail, and we have kind of like a brown sort of striping as we lead out. The primary tone of color with the darker browns kind of breaks up, and then we just have the light tone with that brown striping the rest of the way out through the tail that my camera is losing focus on. If you look at it from behind, you can really see the nice curvatures of the tail. Again, if my camera decides to focus on it. There you go. If we look at it from the underside, again, you've got those nice pinkish tones down here. You can see a cloaca present and everything. You also have some lighter tones that kind of move down the center of the belly of the dinosaur. And of course, as far as the difference from one side goes to the other when it comes to the sculpt, the biggest difference is the positioning of the legs. The head is turned slightly toward its right, but the leg is trailing over here and picking up off of the ground. You can see how the toes are kind of picking up as the dinosaur is walking along and taking a step. And the tail does also curve toward us a little bit, but that's the biggest difference overall. That is a fantastic Giganotosaurus and may actually be my favorite accurate Giga in my collection. Then when it comes to the other color variants, we also have this one. This is the more greenish version. Now, sculpt-wise, these are all the same. They just have different paint schemes. So we don't need to go over the sculpt again, just the paint schemes on these other two. But you have the lighter tone there kind of creeping out of the nostrils, helping to highlight the nostrils. We also have a mixture of different greens and browns throughout the face. You have like darker browns kind of striping through. You also have like some nice orangish browns as you move up there from like the jawline up into the crest area. We have some darker browns there around the eye. You also have a yellow for the eye and a black pupil, and then some more nice greens that show up here throughout the course of the face, a darker tone on the tip of the snout. You have some very vibrant oranges actually nicely for the lower jaw, as well as some greens and blacks and browns and stuff that kind of pattern through. As you open the mouth, you can see again some nice pinkish tones, just like we saw with the other one, but not quite as intense with the red wash, and you don't see like the purple down here. Again, looking really nice. The teeth are, of course, again painted nicely, and you have that gorgeous gloss coat on the inside of the mouth, really making all of the detail pop for this figure. When you look at it from the opposing side, you can again see all of the paintwork and everything looks pretty much the same over here as we had seen on the first side. As we move back into the body, you start to pick up some patterns and stuff that kind of stripe and pattern through with some dark browns and blacks, it looks like. Mostly dark browns, I would say. We also have more of those nice greens, a little bit darker. As we lead along, you also have some light tones down here that actually have a mixture of like some pinks, but you also have like orangish tones kind of combining in that area. Again, you also have a darker tone as you move down into the hands, kind of like a dark gray with a light wash. Again, some more of the patterns moving down through the greens of the arms. And as you move along, you do have a little bit of a lighter tone that follows along the spinal column with more of those patterns, as well as the nice greens as you move down, and again more of the patterns, and you transition to the lighter tones of the lower part of the dinosaur as you continue to lead through. And we pretty much see the same thing as we move through the rest of the figure. Again, as you have all of the different patterns and greens and stuff, as well as the lighter tones with like some off-whites and even some orangish tones kind of shining back there on the back of the leg. And then you move down into the foot sculpt, and we do also have, again, a gray with that nice light wash. And then you move up and you basically have all of those tones of color that kind of stripe out as the tail is overtaken by the green leading out into the tip of the tail. And you can see again pretty much the same thing over here. And although this one is definitely a little bit headed toward like the flashy side of things, it's still a very naturalistic version without being overly flashy. So I think they did an excellent job on this color variant as well. And the final version is definitely the flashiest overall, as we have the bluish version, and look at how gorgeous this is. I would say that the bluish version at first I thought would be my least enjoyable, just because it is a little bit flashier than I normally would expect, but at the same time still pretty cool looking. However, in hand, in person, it is definitely my second favorite overall. Camera focus. Look at how amazing all of the different tones of colors look here on the face. That is fantastic. So many different slight variations of like blues and purples and even yellows and oranges kind of moving up toward the crest and everything. There's just so much color in the face of this Giga, and it looks insanely beautiful. You even have like some pinks and purples as you move down into the lower jaw. Man, oh man, does that color ever look nice. Haolonggood does such an excellent job on the paint apps of their figures. You can also see the eye is painted with a yellow, given a nice black pupil, and also sports a gloss coat. You do, of course, have some pinkish tones and stuff for the inside of the mouth. Nice red wash in here as well. Pretty similar to the last Giganotosaurus as far as the coloration and everything goes, but still, again, looking beyond impressive and very realistic. As you move down into the lower part, you see some more pinkish tones and stuff picking up, as well as like some off-whites and everything here for the underside of the figure. Moving back into the neck, you have some really vibrant blues. You actually see those up on the top of the head as well, but those kind of taper away, and then you have a mixture of a dark blue as well as like a dark brown and some light blues that just kind of like pattern all over the place throughout the rest of like the back and stomach region. You can see all sorts of little different variants of like blues and blacks and stuff to the colors. There's just a lot going on when it comes to all of the different patterns, but it's very different when it comes to the style of patterns compared to what we saw on the greenish version. As you move down, you do, just like with the others though, transition to a gray, moving down into the hands. The claws again painted with a nice dark tone, looks like a dark gray, and as you move back, you can see some of the pinkish tones in the lower part of the stomach. Nice smooth transition again up toward the back, and again we continue to basically just have that same sort of patterning and stuff as you move down through the rest of the figure, again transitioning down into the gray for the feet with the light wash, just like we had seen on the others. And as you move back into the tail, you start to kind of pick up a striping effect. You can see kind of like a darker blue striping moving through with some of the black or brown squiggles and stuff moving out into the tail, and then the tail lightens drastically as that striping really stands out there toward the tip of the tail, which you can see. And same deal, of course, when you look at it from over here. One thing that I do notice is this one actually doesn't have like a dark wash, and I don't think the green one did either, or even a light wash. So no washes on either of these two, but still, that is absolutely fantastic. Like, I just love the paintwork here of the face of this Giganotosaurus, and as you move back again, it doesn't cease when it comes to how incredible this one looks. It just gets, honestly, better and better as you move through. So again, another excellent addition to these Gigas, and if you really want a flashy looking version but still natural, this is the way to go. As far as a size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 13.5 inches, or a little bit over 34 centimeters, but not quite at 34.5. And then for a height, around 4.5 inches, or just a hair under 11.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to our Haolonggood GIGANOTOSAURUS. And you can see the Giga is a little bit shorter than Mr. Papo T-Rex because he's standing up tall so high, but still a larger figure, no doubt. You can see more body mass and length on the Giga. We also have a size comparison here next to the Eofauna Giganotosaurus, and you can see that these two are pretty similar in size. The head sculpt is a little bit different as far as its shape goes on the Eofauna version, but they are overall quite similar in size and definitely look quite cool next to each other. We've also got the PNSO version of the Giganotosaurus, which you can see is absolutely of a similar size, but a bit shorter. You can definitely see the PNSO version is kind of crouched more than the Haolonggood version. I think the PNSO version, though, might be slightly longer. So if we put the two kind of right next to each other and, you know, standing side by side, you can see just a tad more length on the PNSO version, but overall the Haolonggood version is a bit larger. And then we've got one final comparison, as we have the Eofauna Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I knew people would want to see this one kind of compared with the Giga, and as you can see, they are kind of similar in size. I think the Giga is a bit longer maybe, but it's actually not even, I'm not positive about that looking at them from this angle. It just kind of feels like the Giga is maybe slightly larger than the T-Rex, but let's get them side by side. So yeah, here you can see the Giga is just slightly longer and just a little bit bigger than the T-Rex. The T-Rex is positioned up a little bit higher because of the positioning of the head, but the Giga is definitely just a little bit bigger than our Tyrannosaurus. So these brand new Haolonggood Giganotosaurus are 3 of their best figures to come from them so far. Honestly, Haolonggood never disappoints if you ask me. They are always giving us stellar release after stellar release after stellar release, and they never stop. They are just pumping them out like mad and giving us some of the, if not the best dinosaur figures that we have ever had. And we have 3 more fantastic releases here with the Giganotosaurus, 3 more incredible different variants as far as the colors go. You can basically choose whatever you want. If you want really flashy, you've got the blue. If you want somewhat flashy, you've got the green. And if you want very natural and not flashy with a tiny hint of flashiness, you've got the brown. And all of them, again, are incredible. Very smooth transitions, nice natural patterns and stuff, and just in general, lots of realism added to these figures. You've also got a really nice sculpt, extremely well done, very impressive, very high quality, lots of fine detail as always, and the detail is extremely crisp and pops beautifully. The articulated jaw is, of course, fun so that you can, you know, add a little bit of posability to the figure and have it either just kind of wandering or maybe coming in for an attack. It's really your call how you want to go as far as that goes, but the articulated jaw works nicely and is always a fun addition to any dinosaur figure. And again, the realism on the inside of the mouth is honestly insane. They look so good on the insides of the mouths. But overall, all 3 of these are absolutely excellent and by far some of the best Giganotosaurus you are ever going to find. So if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase these on Lana Time Shop, because that's where I purchased mine. So check that link, definitely pick these up, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.